All right, we are back with Grandma's Corner, and we're going to pick up where we left off last time, talking about how things were different than she thought when she started to get older. So,
I will continue.
what was the next thing you lost after your feet?
Well, after my feet, then I began to have problems with my back because I have a falling problem, which started when I was little. I have been falling since I was in grade school, not knowing why. But it was all tied in with my feet. And so when we finally got my feet fixed, I had to then start to look at my back because when we fixed my feet, it changed the way I could walk.
How so?
I was dragging one leg
Because you fused your feet?
because of the shift in the way I walked affected my back.
Okay.
And the lower back had already popped out 2 discs, and it was the beginning of a long journey.
Okay.
So that was where I had to start really getting creative and finding things that I could do in ways that didn't put me down in the bed for a day or two.
So, what things, when you started noticing your back, what things got harder other than walking?
Well, the walking got harder, and then the back got worse because the change of my gait began to cause an alignment in my back.
No, I know. What I'm saying is, other than walking,
Oh, other
what
than
things
walking,
got harder?
do you ever try to do anything without being able to walk well? It's very difficult.
Well, I mean, you don't do everything walking. That's why I'm
No,
asking.
I know. When we finally got around to understanding what was happening, I had to give up doing a lot of the things I automatically did, like lifting children
Okay.
in car seats. And at that particular time, I was lifting children in car seats.
You were always lifting children.
I'm always lifting, I know, but it became a problem. So we had to rearrange how I put the children, my grandchildren, in and out of the car as I took them to and from school and whenever I took them with me, which was often. And slowly they got bigger, or unfortunately, 2 of them passed away, which was a critical hit for me. I felt that I was less than I should have been as a grandmother. I could not. Okay, anyway, it became a problem. So then I had to learn how to lift things, what I could do, what I could not do, and I stopped trying to do things like moving wagon loads of bricks.
Well, I mean, we were in Orem by then, right?
Yeah.
So we weren't doing that anyway.
Oh, yes, we did.
Well, I mean, we did
Daddy
some.
was building.
We did some, but like.
My husband was building a patio for me.
Right.
And we picked out all the stone.
Yeah.
And the concrete blocks. And I helped move all of them.
Right.
Not all of them, but I helped move them. I was still helping when we put the patio in because we were having a wedding.
Oh, the front deck, you mean?
On the back.
Oh, on the back.
And then Peter's wedding. And then we had Joanne's and we put the pathway in the front.
Yeah.
And I stopped doing things like digging up the gardens and resetting bricks along the edges. It was just a change in my life.
Yeah.
And I had to find things that I could do that allowed me to express my creativity and come to peace with my lost abilities. And as you grow older, you start that slide. Some people don't feel it until much older. My goal was to be 110 grandmother in tennis shoes, driving my sports car out across the Nevada desert at as top speed as I could go. Well, it didn't happen.
So how did it change the way you interacted with your grandkids, other than not being able to lift them? So what did you
Well,
do instead?
it interfered with how much I did for my grandchildren. Moving all the tables in the garage and
Right.
setting up all the chalk art and all of those things became difficult for me.
So what did you do to compensate?
I had I learned to ask for help.
That's always good.
I never thought to ask for help. I was always the one that helped. I was the healthy one in my family. And my dad and I did all the lifting.
Was that a
It-
hard thing to learn to do?
Not lift?
No, ask for help.
Oh, yeah, that's really hard for me to do. Because I believe we can do and should do to our potential. And because I was raised to love work, and especially outside work, that was a gift to me. And when I had to ask for help, I was actually suppressing and giving over what I would have done to somebody else's design before I could just jump in and build a rock wall, and I didn't have to ask anybody to help me.
So
And then I got to the point where I couldn't move the concrete, but I could still move the dirt or the sand. And slowly my back began, when one section of your back goes, then the rest of your back has to make adjustments.
right.
We had to go in and do surgery 4 times to stabilize my low back.
Right.
And so each time, because I was taking care of my mother and my father, and I was lifting the wheelchairs and the walkers and helping them in and out, it took its toll. And then it was me.
So how, because that seems like a really important step, learning to ask for help and not feeling bad about it.
It is a very hard step.
How did you manage that?
The Lord knew I needed to be humbled, and He knew I wasn't learning that well because I was taking on everybody's problems and bringing in all the discord and my callings in the church, and I was used to not.
Right.
It's just hard. You have to humble yourself. I understand that it is necessary
Right.
for other people to help
Uh-huh.
because that's how they learn, and that's how they appreciate the gifts that they have. But I was always the one
Right.
giving.
So
And to say, I need it, it
So-
was hard.
let me ask you this. Has it gotten easier, or is it still that hard to say, hey, I need help? Other than with me.
No, I'm not worried
Yeah.
about you, sweetheart. You and I are fine.
Right.
It is still a fight within myself, but I'm at peace with the fact that I can no longer take care of myself.
Right.
That was the worst bump in my life,
Yeah.
was when my husband died and I could no longer take care of myself because I didn't have him.
Right.
And I had to give up my home, which I knew I would in time.
Right.
Should have before I did. But I had to then give up not just that. I had to turn my life over to you. Money-wise, insurance-wise,
Right.
decision-wise. So,
But
yes.
but back to learning to ask for help. Like if you were to say, give some advice on how to learn to do that,
Just ask.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Just ask.
Right. But like you said, that's hard for people.
Well, it is hard.
So is there something?
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing that made it happen was I could not.
Right.
I could not. I can't work numbers. My head doesn't work that way anymore.
Is there anything that makes it easier other than just the fact that you
Yes,
can't?
there is
There we
something
go.
that makes it
Okay.
easier. I have watched my children bloom in the process of caring for their father and for me and for my mother and father. And watching my children grow and appreciate what that requires has been a real blessing. And I'm grateful that if I had to have this experience, it was for more than just me.
Okay.
And so, yes, I'm learning to ask. I'm not really good at saying please. I always say thank you.
Yeah.
It's just a communication thing with me. But no, it's easier now.
Okay.
I just have to keep reminding myself, because every day, one more thing is losing.
Right.
So I find the things that bring me joy. Writing was one of them. And we can talk about that another time.
So
But
if you
I
had,
were going to give you advice, is stop being selfish.
Okay.
Because the doers are selfish. They love to do. It feels so good. And other people have to ask. And we don't let them behind us learn to ask either.
Okay.
And so it's a process of seeing the good that has come from it.
excellent.
So if you need something, just ask.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Mom. And we will see you guys again next week. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to message us and she will answer questions for you.